Halloween
Forever.
All right, good evening, boils and ghouls. Steve, got one for you.
Exciting.
Are you prepared for one?
I'm ready.
One is incoming. Here we go. Why can't Superman, you know that guy, the Superman wears his underwear on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't he beat Dracula? Why can't he beat a dang old Dracula?
Why can't Superman beat Dracula? Brian, I don't know. Why can't he?
Well, because he's in the kryptonite. He's in the crypt tonight.
In the crypt tonight.
Crypt tonight. That's the answer, boils and ghouls. Welcome to a dagnab stankin' ass old minisode of Halloween's Forever. I'm Brian.
And I'm going to paint stripes in your face and roll you down the beach.
We got an extra Monday in June, guys, which means we get a little silly ass little extra minisode this month. So we're going to do something a little different, a little fun, you might say. Well, what's that joke have to do with anything? Well, it had the word crypt in it. That's what it had to do with it. And we're going to be talking about a little series some of you might have heard about before. Currently experiencing a bit of a resurgence in popularity. Not that it's ever been, not popular, but a little bit of a resurgence in popularity as all the episodes are currently streaming over on the Shudder. We're going to talk about our favorite episodes from the 7-season original run of Tales from the Crypt that started all the way back in the year of our Lord 1989. We're going to do that this very day. However, of course, Steven, we got some shit we're going to do at the top of the show. I see you slurping on something. I seen you slurp on it.
Yep.
First of all, is it wet? And then parentheses, how wet is it? And then what is it?
It do be wet. It is not that wet, though. It's a little dry.
A little dry.
Dry. Little dry, mostly because it's a little sour. In fact, you would call it slightly sour because it is the Oscar Blues limited release of Neon Rodeo, which is a sour ale with raspberry and lime juice.
How is that?
Yep. It's pretty tart. I don't get a lot of the lime. I think maybe the lime is just balancing, but I do get like some of the raspberry there.
Not super wet, a little bit wet. I'm drinking on something that is wet, but it also is on the warm side as opposed to cold, which most wet ones typically are. I have been hitting on this green tea recently quite hard and been running around like a maniac this weekend, been outside, been sweating, been drinking a couple 2-tree beers already today. So I thought to myself, listen, if I keep on drinking these beers, I'm going to start to honk two. So I need to wake up. Because not only are we recording this here podcast, but we're doing a little double record because we just recorded an episode for the Patreon over at the Final Girls podcast. They were kind enough to have us on to talk about a little bit of a panel discussion that was kind of fun, and check out their social medias. I'm sure they'll post about it and we'll repost and all that sort of stuff. But we just recorded that. Now we're going to record this. So your boy need a little caffeine, and I'm drinking on that Imperial Dragon Well from I don't fucking know, some city in China that I don't, or province in China that I don't know how to say real good. It's like Xinjiang or something like that. I don't know, but it's a good old yummy whole leaf green tea. So that's what I'm sipping on, trying to get my energy up, trying to get my vitality up. It is. It's not super wet because, again, it's got a little bit of that tannic quality that you'd expect from a nice green tea. So I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to wet, it's a little bit wet. That's where I'm at.
A little bit wet.
Little tiny bit wet. All right. A couple of things we got to do at the top of the show. Obviously, this being the extra Monday in the month means next week we're going to jump back into that old showdown shit. We're going to kick off our July Showdown episode, which I believe we talked about last week. We mentioned it is going to be during our punishment with Bigfoot Ben, aka Big Ween Ben, aka Big Top Ben. We are doing childhood trauma was what y'all voted for our showdown topic for July. Now, these are not movies about childhood traumas. These is flickies that bestowed upon us a substantive quality or quantity rather of childhood trauma. Do we want to talk about what those movies are going to be so the folks can go out and watch them ahead of time if they want to?
Yeah, and we can talk about our guest as well.
Yep.
And this guest came about because he had pitched this movie before. Mm-hmm. He reached out and he said, after we had did the showdown that featured Child's Play on it, Ian from the Halloween Horror Hour, he reached out and he said, hey guys, I really want to talk about Child's Play 2 one day on your show because I love that movie and it fucked me up. And then lo and behold, audience voted, childhood trauma comes up, and Ian sends another email. Hey guys, this is perfect time for me to talk about Child's Play 2. And I said, okay, dude, you can come on and talk about Child's Play 2. So we'll talk about Child's Play 2 from his perspective. That's what fucked him up. We'll talk about that.
Sure. We got our old, handsome old pal, Halloween. We love when he comes on the show. He's a barrel of laughs. He's going to talk about Child's Play 2, which is his childhood trauma movie. Steve, what is your childhood trauma movie going to be?
So I think I've mentioned this in the past about this movie fucking me up and me seeing it way too early as a kid. But I saw probably my first trauma movie. I can't nail down the time. I think it was 12, but it may have been before 12 because the movie was released before I was 12. But from 1990, Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD.
Sure.
It is. I think it was an attempt because I believe there were two versions. I think there was a PG-13 version and then an R-rated version. I think there were two versions of it, or it was just a PG-13 that went under the radar because there is some real questionable shit in there. And
yeah.
And boy, I picked it up in an Eagle video.
Sure.
And my mom said, okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead and watch that. It's PG-13. And it is not PG-13.
It is not. And also it's one of those ones where the cover, the box art, the VHS cover art doesn't look too bad.
Right.
It looks silly, looks wacky. And then you get in there and you're like, oh, buddy. Yeah, that's a lot for a 12-year-old or whatever to see.
Yeah. There's three main things in that movie that I was confronted with as a preteen that I had to come to grips with too early. So
yeah, you had a real coming of age tale there in the Eagle video. That'll be fun. Those are two very, very different movies. And then I'm bringing up the rear with a real out of left field pick. But I wanted to stay true to the topic. I wanted to be authentic to the topic. And I wanted to pick a movie that notoriously, I wouldn't say this created the most childhood trauma of any movie I watched, but this is one of the first movies I saw that I really creeped me out, so much so that it became like an ongoing family topic. It was like a known thing, like a joke amongst our family. I talked about on and off throughout the years doing this here podcast, and way back in the day, early on, we talked about like our individual, I think it was maybe even like our first like intro episode, we talked about like our horror origin stories and like how we got into horror and that stuff. And I've talked about it again and again over the years, but my Aunt Jill, who was a hardcore horror fan and Halloween lover and fan of all things spooky and macabre, she really turned me on to a lot of this stuff. And a movie that she taped with her VCR off of television, and then she would show us. She was always eager to show us horror movies, and she would always try to find ones that weren't too scary until we got a little older. Then it was, all bets were off. But I'm talking, I probably saw this movie for the first time. I'm going to say 9 or 10.
Sure.
This movie is from 1992. It was a made for TV movie. Again, I saw it in the, few years after that. Let's call it 1995, 1994. This movie is called The Dollhouse Murders, or what I knew it as is Secrets in the Attic. Secrets in the Attic is like, this movie was impossible to find for many years. Somehow, I think what happened is she found that old VHS tape and actually had a friend, because she had no idea how to do this, because this was also like 20 years ago, ripped it onto a DVD. So I have this movie on DVD, on like a pirated DVD.
Sure.
And she made me a little like jewel case cover that has like the printout of the poster on the front of it, because this movie scared the living shit out of me and my brother and my cousins when we were all between the ages of about like 8 and 12, ranging all of us in that time. We watched it during a sleepover. It is not particularly scary, but there is one scene that specifically scared the shit out of us, and all the build up to that and everything. So yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about 1992 Secrets in the Attic, aka The Dollhouse Murders. You can find it on archive.org. It's pretty easy to find. Dan in the chat was just it just popped up and then went down because my computer sucks here. But I think he said something about posting a link to it or something like that.
Yeah, Dan said upload it to YouTube, and it's like, well, hey, guess what, Dan? It's already for free on the Internet Archive.
And it's on YouTube. It is on YouTube as well. Although you want to find the longer cut, not the shortened crappy one. There's a longer cut that's like, I don't know, it's still only like an hour 20 minutes, hour 25 minutes or something like that. But yeah, if you type in The Dollhouse Murders 1992 on Internet Archive, you will find it for free on there. That's where I watched it. I have my DVD here somewhere, but I didn't pull it out. I watched it on there. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 very different movies. We're going to talk about Child's Play 2. We're going to talk about Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, and we're going to talk about The Dollhouse Murders, aka Secrets in the Attic. So join us next week as we do that. But that ain't what we're doing today. We got other shit we got to do. Steve, why don't you tell the boils and ghouls at home what we got going on the Patreon, because we got some tasty, slippery, sweet things over there on the internets for you.
Yes, log on to patreon.com/Halloween is forever. Give us $5, and then you get access to all the fun things. Like we just mentioned, Dan is in the chat asking us for movies illegally.
Dan's asking us to do crimes on the internet.
Yes, pay $5. You too can ask us to do crime
and see our feet and watch us piss. Yeah. Just kidding. Those are all the things we do on the Patreon. Crimes, pissing, feet. Check it out.
Watch Ben poop.
Dan just goes thumbs up.
Yeah,
that immediate thumbs up.
Yeah, so you can do all that. You get on our Discord to hang around. You get extra votes when it comes voting time for on various things. You get input onto episodes. We got reviews and recos. We got 31 Days of Horror. We got all kinds of things going on. And on top of all that, you get an extra monthly podcast episode where Brian and I spend 2 hours trying to figure out how to kill God.
Mm-hmm. That's the plan. Yeah, we got a little Patreon exclusive podcast series going on right there over on the Patreon. Extra episode every month. Right now, our series is called God Is Not Forever, Cinematic Roadmap to Killing God's Dumb Ass. We're watching movies that are going to help us learn a little bit more about the nature of God and existence and heaven and hell and all those sorts of things, so we can off his ass if we get the chance. We also have a backlog of a bunch of other ones where Steve made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies. We watched a bunch of dumbass 90s comedies that have horror ties to them. We watched a bunch of shitty right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies about like how you like don't be gay, don't jack off, shit like that. You should check that out. It's fucking terrible, but it's fun to make fun of. And then what else? I feel like I'm missing one, or is that all of them?
No, that's all of them to this point. And then How to Kill God.
And How to Kill God. And right on the end of that, we're coming down to the last, I want to say like the last 3 episodes or something like that, 3 or 4.
Last 4, because we're releasing up now for June is our episode that we just did on the 4th kind, where we explore the idea that God is aliens.
God is aliens.
Yeah. Yep. And aliens can get their asses beat.
Yeah, aliens can. I mean, we know from many movies, aliens can get their asses beat. And I'm actually gonna pivot because for those of you who listen to that one already, at the end, I usually say what the next movie is going to be, and then I second guessed myself because I was like, this movie didn't go exactly the way I thought. It was fun to talk about, but spoiler alert, we didn't learn quite as much about our ultimate goal as we did from some of the other movies. So then I said, all right, I'm going to do this movie next. And I second guessed. I went back, rewatched that movie. And I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to pivot. I think I'm going to do another one because I think it will rehash too many of the things that we talked about in the most recent episode. So, but you know what? That's for all the people over on the Patreon to learn and to find out anyway. So go over there, give us your stinky, slippery, smelly little sticky dollary dues. Just 5 of them a month, and you get all those things. And it's a lot of fun. Okay. Oh, and if you have topic suggestions for the showdowns, I have a bunch I'm going to add to the spinning ass wheel. If you've got more, send them to us on the social medias. I don't know, slide into the IG DMs and give us your suggestions for showdown topics or Minisode topics or punishment movies or whatever the hell you want us to talk about. We always like to hear that. And I guess one last thing, and then I'll shut the fuck up. I haven't said this in a long time, but for some reason, an old episode of our podcast came up on my iTunes, or what the hell is it? The iTunes podcast app, whatever the fuck the thing is called. You think I should know by now, doing a podcast for like 5 years. It's the iPod Tunes app.
Where you get where you
get the iTunes on the pod tunes with the casting. Whatever. One old episode of our podcast came up and I was like, I was working in the yard. I was listening to it. And I have not proposed a deal to yins in a long time. And that is, if you go over to the Apple Podcast app or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts and you write us a review, you got to give us the maximum amount of stars. Don't do none of this 4 out of 5 bullshit, or I'll find out where you live. Give us the maximum amount of stars, and then write a little thing that says, "Hey, these guys, all right, whatever." And then
you can write. You can write, "Help, kid, I'm a Podtunes."
Hey, kid, I'm a Podtunes. Stop all the downloading. Do something like that, or just write, hey, whatever. And then tell us, shoot us a DM. Say, hey, I reviewed you. And then I will send you some motherfucking stickers and a couple little giblets, little spooky giblets in the mail. I will send them right to your home, and then I'll know where you live. But yeah, give us a little review, and I'll send you some shit in the mail. How's that? All right. Anything else before we get into a little cryptification, little tales from the crypticals?
No, everything's all good. We'll just talk about some television.
Yeah, some old TV. Talk about the old boob tube, you guys. Like I mentioned, this is Tales from the Crypt for some of yins youngins out there. This it's currently streaming every episode on Shudder, so you can go check it out there. But it started all the way back in 1989. The original run went from 89 to 96, 7 seasons, read primarily on HBO. And this is why I didn't really watch it much when it first came out, because we didn't have that. We didn't have that old home box office. We didn't have it like that. You know what I mean? So I didn't get into watching Tales from the Crypt until, it came out on DVD box sets and that sort of shit later on. I did have an uncle that used to tape it off the home box office. So I did catch a few episodes here and there on that. And then I believe it came into syndication, at some point in the late 90s or something like that, because I do remember catching it on or maybe I just remember seeing the Crypt Keeper pop up on like Fox or something like that. My earliest introduction to the Crypt Keeper was Tales from the Crypt Keeper, which was the weirdly we talked about this on an episode a long time back, but they took the host, the little puppet host, the Crypt Keeper, whom we all know, he does a little giggle and he does stupid puns and things like that. They made a weird short-lived kids animated series called Tales from the Crypt Keeper. And I liked that show because it was, spooky little cartoons. And then again, I'm probably 7-8 years old. They had, I had a 2XL, the smartest toy robot in the world. 2XL was like a big boy Teddy Ruxpin, but it wasn't a dang teddy bear because that's for babies. It was a dang robot for big boys. Yeah. So I had 2XL and I had a little tape that was Tales from the Crypt Keeper, and it told little spooky stories, and you got to it was like a pick your adventure thing. You hit the button and then it would take you to a different point in the tape. So that was my first introduction to this, but I do remember around Halloween time, the Crypt Keeper would pop up hosting, Fox Friday Night or some shit.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the first time I saw it.
Yeah, they definitely used them as a mascot for that kind of shit. They're either a movie or specifically Treehouse of Horror time. We're going to do all the Fox TV shows and Halloween theme, and so we're gonna have the Crypt Keeper do introductions for that. But yeah, other than that, I think I still saw the HBO show first because I had, again, like you, I didn't have it like that.
Yeah,
poor. I grew up poor. Still poor.
We were lucky to have cable, and we certainly didn't have no premium channels.
No, but I'm still poor. But you know who did? Grandma had that shit.
Oh, Grandma had it like that. All right, Grandma.
Yeah. And so, and Grandma, and then a friend of the show, Brandon, he also had HBO. So occasionally caught, if I went over to Grandma's house and she was playing bridge with the family, I didn't care. I didn't give a shit about bridge. And plus, that's a 4-player game, and I'm 5. So I gotta go do something else.
I mean, classic fifth wheel situation. Steve said, "Nope, I'm gonna go watch spooky stuff on the home box office."
Well, I wasn't supposed to be watching it, but I watched it anyway.
Yeah, sneak on over there, see what the home box office is up to. Get a little creepy over there. I mean, I don't. There are some episodes of this that I do remember watching fairly young, but I don't know where I caught them. Like I said, it was probably my uncle taping them. Because he was that guy who had a bajillion VHS tapes, all of just movies taped off TV. He was obsessed with just taping shit off of TV.
He was Zemeckis.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is talk about, let's say 2 or 3 each of our favorite episodes from Tales from the Crypt. And we have at least one that we share on both of our lists that we're going to talk about as well. So, Steve, do you want to kick it off, or you want me to?
Yeah, you can kick it off if you want. I think some of the ones I have are just little blurbs about them. I don't want to spend too much time on them because they're fine. But I think there's 2 or 3 that we both really love. So
yep, agreed. All right, I'll kick it off with one that was really, really early in this series. And for anybody who's a fan of Tales from the Crypt and a fan of this show, you probably knew this one was coming because your boy loves some spooky Christmas shit. I love some Christmas horror. I love a killer Santa. I love people getting murdered while chestnuts are roasting over open fires. And that's exactly what happens in season 1, episode 2, right off the bat. A little episode called "And All Through the House." This is one you've seen, Steve?
Actually, this is one I haven't seen.
Okay.
My history with the show is still spotty. I haven't gone back and done a full series rewatch. So
Same. Yeah, I haven't. There's definitely quite a few episodes I have not seen. I don't know this anything like I know Twilight Zone or anything like that. But I've got my episodes.
Yeah, because I've seen the episode at the end of this season, collection completed about the taxidermy.
Yes.
So I know I've seen that one for sure, and I think I've seen the first episode in this season. But for whatever reason, I've never saw this Christmas flavored one.
Yep. Yeah. This one is directed by, believe it or not, the great Robert Zemeckis, who from a million things, not the least of which Back to the Future and fucking Forrest Gump and a bunch of big movies. He's obviously one of the premier directors of the last century, but he directed this fucking weird little episode. It also stars Mary Ellen Trainor, who you'll probably know from she is Mrs. Walsh, one of the kids' moms from the Goonies. That's what I remember her from. She's also Gail Wallens in Die Hard. She was in Congo. She was in the Lethal Weapon movies. A lot of stuff in the 80s and 90s. You would recognize her face. We also have, for genre fans, the great Larry Drake, who most horror fans would know as the titular Dr. Giggles, of Dr. Giggles fame. He plays the creepy Santa Claus, and perhaps, in my opinion, the creepiest Santa Claus, maybe of all time. I just the look. I mean, I'll explain a particular scene. This one really stuck in my head, but it starts out with a wife plotting to murder her husband. It's Christmas Eve. She is he's sitting there on the couch, and he asks her to hand him the fire poker, and then she just kind of starts handling it in a way that seems like she's up to no good, and then she just sticks that son of a bitch right in the top of his head from behind. Not terrifically dissimilar to Psycho 2, to the ending of Psycho 2, which we just talked about recently. And then you realize their daughter is in the house. So she quickly, hustles her daughter off to bed, who appears to be, maybe 8 years old. I don't know. And then she calls up the guy she's been having an affair with. And you realize, you get the explanation that she is killing her husband for insurance money. And then she's going to run off with her, this gentleman she's philandering with. This is the worst planned out murder of all time. And later on, she gets an opportunity to kind of hide it, but it's just complete happenstance. At this point, she does not know any of this is going to happen. But as she's dragging the body outside to dispose of it, we get one of my favorite tropes in horror, which is the all points bulletin. The hearing over the radio that an escaped murderer, or an escaped mental patient has escaped the walls of the institution and is on the run. I love hearing an all points bulletin over the radio. I remember when I was a kid, local radio stations used to do that on Halloween, but they would make it very apparent to adults that this is a joke, but they would be like, there's a I don't know if they say we call mass killer, but they would say inmate,
maniac,
escaped, a maniac, kind of thing. And I remember even as a kid knowing that they were just pretending, but still being like, fuck, kind of being freaked out by it. So I love an all points bulletin, but that's what we get: an escaped mental patient who has been murdering women around town. And he is dressed like Santa Claus, if you haven't picked that out already. The dirty faced, gnarly teethed, just sooty, sweaty, fucked up look of the Santa is so good, so memorable. He shows up. There's a bit of a cat and mouse. She ends up trying to use the axe to, kill act like the husband was killed by the murderer when she learns there's a murderer. Again, there's this cat and mouse thing that happens. And then finally, I'm jumping forward quite a bit, but she's ignoring her daughter the whole time. Her daughter's just like supposed to be up in her room. But she accidentally lets the Santa into the house. She goes upstairs, the window's open, daughter's gone, and then walks down the stairs to see sweaty, psychotic, fucked up teeth Santa Claus with an axe standing there holding the hand of her daughter. And great final line in the most creepy psycho way possible is like, naughty or nice. And then the line delivery is fantastic. And then the mom just maybe 15 times goes, no, no, just screams no, an inordinate number of times, which is just so silly to step back and think of. But in the moment, it's so disorienting because you're like, what does she know that we don't know? Like, obviously he's in a position to do harm to the child, but like, I don't know, fight him, do something. Yeah. Don't just sit there and scream no. But of course, this is kind of supposed to be a serialized pulp comic type of vibe. So we get it. Great ending, great Christmassy vibes, great Psycho Santa, all through the house. Season 1, episode 2.
Yeah. It's interesting how these are all like 22, 23 minute episodes and everything, so they give you a lot of high level stuff, and it feels like some of the stuff also because it's based on the old pulp comics, you get a lot of kind of sort of recycled tropes a little bit.
Sure.
One of them is just poorly planned murders. Like, there are so many just poorly planned murders throughout, and they kind of give you it's not necessarily, horror, but it is horror in a way that like they spice up with like gruesome effects. Because one of the episodes I went back and revisited that I enjoyed was it's 2 for the show, and it is a quick story of this guy who like he's just this like up and down dickhead to his wife. His wife is played by Tracy Lords, and she's obviously a smoke show, and the guy you'll recognize, this one comes from season 5, episode 6. And so it's Vincent Spano, who like he was a name at the time. He plays a cop, and then the dickhead husband is played by David Paymer, who is just like a character actor you will immediately recognize.
What was the name? David
Paymer. I mean, just to look at his face, you'll recognize him immediately because he's always kind of like a wormy guy, a little bit of a yeah. Like you can't exactly place where you've seen him, but you've seen him because he's been in everything. He's a guy that has 183 acting credits, so you've seen this guy. But yeah, they try to sell you early on that he is like this, like stockbroker financier with the trophy wife of Tracy Lords. And it starts, the action starts real quick of like, he is just running his mouth about like, we're going to go to this dinner party. You need to treat me better at these dinner parties. And, just treating her like shit. And she's like, I'm leaving you. He's like, what do you mean you're leaving? And they get into a fight. You
can imagine him just delivering those lines.
Yeah. But it immediately turns into a poorly planned murder because he's just like, you fucking bitch, you don't get to leave me. And then he just starts choking her. And then it turns into a stabbing. And then it turns
it turns a little bit Hitchcockian in that, like, he decides he's going to chop her body up, stuff it all in a suitcase, and then he's going to send that suitcase to Chicago on a train.
I thought you were going to say Abu Dhabi, but
Abu Dhabi, yeah, no, go.
That's where normal would be sent. But
that's where normal goes. But the whole time, Vincent Spano is playing this cop, and he's investigating, and he just happens to be at the same place that David Paymer is at, all the steps of the way. And so he's like interfering. So like he goes to send this trunk full of his wife to Chicago, but the cop is there, and the baggage handler is like, "Sir, you forgot to put your name on it." And he's like, "All right, I'll put my name on this trunk full of bodies. I guess I'm going to Chicago with it, Mr. Officer." Yeah. And then you kind of have like that, you have the dialogues on the train between him and the cop, and the cop's like, telling him these stories about what he's doing in Chicago. And it's all a setup, because the cop is on to the fact that, he killed his wife. And then it ends in a even bigger twist, which I won't give away. But again, it's that same just kind of like sweaty, nervous guy trying to pull off a murder. Sure. And then he obviously doesn't get away with it and then there's a bigger twist that, lends to Tales from the Crypt.
There's so many, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, like that are these anthologies that are based on, serialized pulp comics that all have like, it's that exact type of story. That's such a good example of that type of story. And yes, you're 100% right. I know who David Paymer is. I'm looking and I'm like, yeah, he's been in 100 things. I've seen him in all in small roles. And he always is like, if a character gets sent to go talk to the accounting department or HR, he's that guy. Yeah. Or something like that. He also looks quite a bit like Tom Kenny. A little bit. Yeah. Voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, and also, of Mr. Show fame. But yes, David Paymer, great name. Great. I love a random character actor.
Yeah, but just like a final point on that episode is like, yeah, it plays into those old tropes of those old comics, because those old comics didn't feature a lot of like gore. Like they had some violence of like, a knife stabbing or like a gun going off. But the way they amp it up for the TV show is like you see in full gory detail of him like taking his wife's body parts out of a bathtub and stuffing her in the trunk, and then you see her later when he opens the trunk, you see her all dismembered. So like they just amp up the gore to what would have been like a more simpler story in the comic books. Yeah.
Let me jump into the next episode. I am going to talk about season 5, episode 1. Which I think is one that you're familiar with too. This one's called Death of Some Salesman. And this has such a cast. First of all, it stars Ed Begley Jr., who you know from 100 things, including like every Christopher Guest movie ever. He's in Mighty
Arrested
Wind,
Development,
Best in Show, of course, Arrested Development. He was in Pineapple Express. Some younger folks might know him from, but he has like 300, 400 credits. He's been in everything. Extremely always funny, always memorable, yeah, he's fantastic. He plays a sleazy, he's not even a salesman. They call him a salesman. He acts as a door-to-door salesman, but he's actually just a con man, just a crook, traveling con man, a confidence man. And the antagonist in this movie, in a what I can only describe as a Clumps-esque performance, is, believe it or not, one Mr. Timothy Curry. Obviously, everyone knows who Tim Curry is, but Rocky Horror Picture Show, Clue, obviously played Pennywise in the old It TV series, And his most underrated role as Captain Long John Silver in Muppet Treasure Island is fucking tremendous. Tremendous. I love Tim Curry so much.
I thought you were going to say his role as Herkimer Homolka in Congo.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
That's underrated.
He wears all these prosthetics. I mean, if you're a Tim Curry fan, or if you know who he is, like, you're going to be able to pick him out, especially in the very last line of this episode. I mean, he practically does the smile when he realizes Macaulay Culkin has stolen the credit card in Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, where he does that like smile. And he practically does that at the end. But when I say clumps, like, he plays this backwoods redneck murder family, and he plays all three characters. He plays the husband, the wife, and the daughter in, like I said, all of this prosthetic makeup. So Ed Begley Jr.'s character is Judd. Judd is, like I said, this con man, travels around conning random, hayseeds out of their money by selling them. The angle he's working at this point is selling funeral plots, or going to finding obituaries in the newspaper, going to that address and saying, this person put money down for a funeral plot, but died before they could pay the remaining amount. So basically, like, pressuring these people into paying for this fake funeral plot. So you see him pull this on somebody, and then you see him go to a home where he's got the wrong address. It's like street versus road type situation. And he accidentally...
Or did he?
He did. I think he did, because he asks for a different name. And then
I guess if he's like,
he says there's someone here, and they're
scanning.
like, yeah. And he's like, no one's here by that name. And then he's like, wait, no, this isn't 123, whatever street. And they're like, no, this is 123, whatever road. And he's like, oh, and he's going to leave. But then the woman, played by Tim Curry and all this crazy makeup, is like, what are you selling, son? And then he's like, all right, well, maybe this isn't a lost trip. Maybe I can figure something out here and scam these people. So he thinks it's kind of a happy accident.
Yeah. Just quickly though, I wanted to jump back. The first person we see him pull this scam on is this character, Mrs. Jones, played by Yvonne DiCarlo.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, who was Lily on the original Munsters.
Yeah, I'm just, as soon as you said that, I saw it in the IMDb here, but I did not make the connection when I watched it. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, so he goes into his deal about the fake cemetery plots and the whatever, and they're on board. They buy it hook, line, and sinker. He's like, hey, I'll write up the paperwork. And they're like, well, no, you got to stay because we got to see the plot. Like, I ain't gonna buy it if I can't see it. And he's like, oh, okay. So he's not really sure how he's gonna get out of this. He ends up going to into the kitchen, and this is very out of nowhere because you're it's a little bit of this creepy backwoods, but nothing too crazy except for the kind of grotesque nature of these people, because it's like this, again, these prosthetic masks, and they are very like sallow skin and just creepy looking people.
Yeah, they're unpleasant. They are unpleasant in the way of the Sawyer family in the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw, where like they're uggos and they're gross, but they're not like fucked up like the original family. So yeah, they're not like all weird, inbred, one eye higher than the other or anything like that. They're just kind of weird uggos. Yeah. I gotta say, the first time you really tell it's Tim Curry is when he, as Ma, calls in Pa, and as Ma is sitting down on the couch, he's doing his Tim Curry kind of half chuckle, and he's like, Paul, they got something to sell you. And then just like sitting down on the couch. Like as he hikes up his skirt, and it's like, oh, that's such a Tim Curry like delivery.
Yeah. Once you see it, then you can't unsee it. But he goes out to the kitchen, opens up their microwave, and there's a dang severed head in the microwave. And it just, I mean, they do the whole music thing, zoom in, holy shit, shocking imagery. This is one of the gorier episodes. Just at least in this little section here, because then he like kind of stumbles over to the closet. He finds another corpse that has been like essentially like impaled on a vacuum cleaner tube.
Yeah, cannibal holocausted on a vacuum.
Exactly what I was gonna say, like cannibal holocaust on a vacuum cleaner tube. He runs out. Holy shit, what's going on? And Pa comes out, stops him, whacks him in the head with a baseball bat. They've got him captured, and he, explains that they've been doing this to salesmen. Salesmen come and are trying to cheat people out of their hard-earned dollars, and this is what they get. And he mentions about how he bought a color TV off a guy, and then it wasn't a color TV, so he had to make it into a color TV. And then he pulls it back, and there's the guy's corpse is jammed inside the TV. So it's pretty gruesome. All the practical effects here are pretty darn gruesome. So it turns into this kind of misery situation. We get introduced to Winona, which is their daughter, who's also Tim Curry. And we get a real gross out scene where like Ed Begley Jr. is trying to like kind of seduce her, the daughter. We get her like taking off her funky ass panties. Like, it's pretty gross. And then I guess she like kind of jacks him off. I don't know, but he gets like a fear boner, I think is the implication, and that proves to her that he's serious and he's actually thinks she's beautiful, because he gets like a fear boner or something when he's all tied up. Anyway, that convinces her that he really loves her, and they're going to have an impromptu wedding. However, her parents will not unhandcuff him and are just obviously not on board with this. So Winona turns on her parents, beats the shit out of them, banging them on the ground, roughing them up. And during the scuffle, Judd's trying to get the keys to the handcuff. She does eventually free him. They go down in the basement because apparently she has like a dowry, of supposed to be a bunch of money that they have in the basement. So he's like, hey, I want to go get this money, because he's, a greedy asshole. They go down in the basement. They start digging it up. He immediately shoots Winona and starts digging into the ground for the money, where she said the money was buried. He finds his own death certificate and turns around, and there's Mom and Pa. They're fine. Winona stands up. She's fine. She's mentioned something about fake blood on her dress. They had put blanks in the gun and they had tricked him. And then the final scene is, Tim Curry with a shotgun in Judd's face, and is like, he's like, you tricked me, you conned me or whatever. He's like, nah, it's salesmanship. So he like uses his line against him, blasts him in the face with a shotgun, and that's how we end. That's how we end the episode. That's Death of Some Salesman, season 5, episode 1.
Yeah, I obviously really love that episode, simply just because it's Tim Curry. He's chewing the scenery, and like even though I could tell right away it's Tim Curry, the three characters he plays are different. Like his paw is, you could possibly not recognize it's Tim immediately. Yeah,
agreed. If 100%, if it was just him, until you heard the little laugh and the line at the end and the grinchy sneer, I probably wouldn't have noticed immediately with Pa. But then when you see Ma and Winona, then you really start to see it's him. But
it's just way too campy when he's playing the women. But like
he's doing the falsetto. He does do different voices for all of them, though.
Oh yeah. But still a great episode, and they set up like Ed Begley Jr. as just a fucking slime ball,
piece of shit.
yeah, you don't care what happens to him. So that's also great.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So he kind of gets his comeuppance. But
Yeah.
all right, what's next?
So I'm going to talk about two, just because like they were both episodes I liked when they came out, but one I actually, upon rewatching for this episode, I kind of hate it now.
Okay.
So it's the season finale of season 6, season 6, episode 15, You Murderer. I like this when it came out. It stars John Lithgow, and kind of the hook. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and it has Sherilyn Fenn in it. It does something that I think is very indicative of today times, which is why I hate it now.
Okay.
But what they do is they use a little movie magic, a little trickery to put Humphrey Bogart into this episode.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, and I mean it looks fucking terrible because they're basically just doing Photoshop cut and paste of taking Humphrey Bogart's face and then like manipulating it, and it looks like a really bad jib jab now. I mean, you know, with all these years of, you know, advancement, it just looks bad. But it still has the same kind of just, I don't know, callousness that the way things are made today, of trying to like the way they put, you know, Brando into one of the Superman movies after Brando was dead, and the way they're just using AI to like bring back people for Star Wars when Star Wars needs characters to return. It's all that same mentality of just not letting people be dead. And so like I find this episode to be gross now because of that.
Sure. It was such a strange decision because that part of it was so non-essential to the story too.
Yeah, no, it really feels like they wanted to build around using Humphrey, they're just like attempting this technology, because they do it earlier in the episode as well. They do it in the cold open with the Crypt Keeper. They have the Crypt Keeper sitting next to Alfred Hitchcock, and they have, you know, like a little bit of Alfred Hitchcock footage spliced upon an actor as well, and that it looks terrible as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a weird thing. I don't know why I think they just wanted to fuck around with technology because they thought it was going to be cool that they did this. It looks bad. The guy doing the voiceover is fine. Like he's just doing a Bogart impression. You know, which like if you're going to do that, like why not just find a guy who just has Bogart's face? Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the reasons though that I liked this episode when I saw it as a kid is because it had it was all shot from that first person POV.
Yeah.
So
which
I
was
think
unique.
I like the novelty of the way it was shot, which is the other reason why I like this other episode, and I still like this other episode from season 3. It's called Abracadaver, and
Sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've seen this one.
So this one was also filmed mostly in that first person POV, but it stars Beau Bridges and Tony Goldwyn, and they played two doctor brothers. And the kind of the cold open to that episode is Tony Goldwyn plays a prank on his brother Beau, which leads to him having a heart attack, and then his heart attack like precludes him from becoming the top surgeon at the hospital that he was supposed to be. And then we flash forward, and it's Beau Bridges plays a prank on Tony Goldwyn, and he basically puts him into like, you know, a locked in syndrome where he thinks he's like dead. And so he has to go through like all the, like all the things that you would go through as a body in a morgue of like getting hung up, and, you know, the operations and the autopsy. And he does that. And then, the twist at the end, he reveals, aha, it was a trick the whole time. I was playing a new prank on you with this serum. But that whole time that Tony Goldwyn is locked in, you're in the first person POV of a body. So
yeah, that's fun. That's got some novelty to it. The classic, just kidding, it was a magic serum. Love that.
Yeah.
as a writing device.
He literally pulls out the reanimator juice because it is just
it's glowing green.
Yeah. But that's a far better episode, and it's still in that same like interesting filming perspective versus the other episode. So yeah, I recommend that one more now than I do the John Lithgow episode, even though I far more appreciate the cast than that other one because it's David Lynch's ladies and John Lithgow, and they're all doing like kind of noir fuck arounds. But and
they're also like they're making gags about the corpse and stuff, and the ending of that one, if I recall, is funny because that I won't give it away, but it's like it's a weird like Rube Goldberg ending.
Right. Yeah. It's just it's a silly, stupid ending, but just I don't know. I'm just turned off by the grossness because of what goes on today, and I'm just like, you know what? I think Robert Zemeckis is the fucking reason we have shit like this today because he can't just leave Humphrey Bogart dead.
Yeah, leave him alone. All right. I'm going to talk about the next one is one we both had on our list, which is season 2, episode 10, The Ventriloquist's Dummy, which has a bizarre and phenomenal cast, primarily consisting of one, Don Rickles, which you can't go wrong with a Don Rickles, and Bobcat Goldthwait. Bobcat Goldthwait would have been like, near the height of his powers as a comedian, comic actor, and then obviously the veteran comedian of Don Rickles. And Don Rickles plays a ventriloquist. And he's performing, his kind of classic ventriloquism routine, and you've got a kid, and the kid is, so this is supposed to be the young version of Bobcat Goldthwait, but his name's Billy. So Billy the kid, I almost said Billy as a kid, is watching Don Rickles perform, and he's just mesmerized by the whole thing, and he's so he's inspired to be a ventriloquist. After that performance, I think it was supposed to be that very night, there's like a fire or something, and a woman dies, and supposedly Don Rickles like loses his hand. It's supposed to be this like tragic occurrence after that show. Years later, fast forward to Billy is all grown up, and Billy is now Bobcat Goldthwait, all grown up. And he's an aspiring ventriloquist, and he tracks down Don Rickles' character, which I didn't write down what the character's name is. I'm just going to call him Don Rickles. But he tracks him down to his home and basically gets him to come to one of his like open mic performances, essentially. And he fucking sucks at being a ventriloquist. And
all of these years later, and he just did nothing with it. Like he is flop sweating and bombing harder than you've ever seen. He's getting booed. He's just getting absolutely bombing. And then afterwards, Don Rickles is like, not only like it tells him his shit sucks, but he's like, you should find another line of work. Like he basically Don Rickles roasts him about how shitty he is at being a ventriloquist. And then, it turns out like another woman gets murdered that night, and Billy is like a little freaked out by that, but he ends up going back to Don Rickles' house and finds him shooting up morphine into his arm. And he's like, you're an addict, you're killing yourself, blah, blah, blah.
and what happened with the women, and someone died last night and it's suspicious, and he's kind of grilling Don, and Don says Morty did it. Morty was the name of his ventriloquist doll. And Bobcat Billy is like, well, he's losing his fucking mind. He's losing his marbles. He goes into his crate, his ventriloquist crate, to like show him like, no, this is Morty. And he doesn't find Morty as like your standard ventriloquist dummy. He just finds like a mask, a Morty mask in there. And the big reveal is that, and I'm just going to reveal because it's such a big part of the fast forward 2 minutes if you don't want me to spoil it, but it's the most exciting thing to talk about. The reveal is that Morty is not a ventriloquist dummy, but Don Rickles on his right arm has a mutated, like conjoined twin that is like fused to his right arm. And he had been putting a ventriloquist mask on him. And that's why he was so good at being a ventriloquist, is because it was actually his mutated conjoined twin that was talking through the facade of the dummy. And also, he's evil. It's a real basket case situation, except for he can talk and do gags and bits. Doesn't just scream and eat cheeseburgers and rip people's faces off.
He doesn't
and I guess he's attached.
it.
Yeah, whereas the basket case became unattached, right? That's why he's in the basket. Belial. In this instance, he's attached to his arm. And he had been giving him morphine because he has like basically a heroin addiction, his conjoined twin brother. It also like keeps him sedated a little bit, but otherwise he's like evil and bloodthirsty.
Yeah, keeps him from being like just the crazy incel that he is, because he's so upset that he can't fuck proper that he just goes out and takes it out on women and like bites them in the neck and shit. Yeah. So it is an insane character, but one of the best. Like it's a great representation of stand up as well, because like they're doing full on Catskills, and I mean they may just be in the Catskills while they're doing this, but like you're getting full Rickles, which is great, and Bobcat is actually relatively subdued all the way up until he winds up getting his just desserts in the end.
Yeah, but
he's relatively subdued until I guess maybe when he starts screaming about Rickles being a junkie, like that whole argument.
He's not laying hard into the Bobcat voice, the inflections in the voice as much. He's talking relatively normally, just like a kind of a dorky guy, He's doing a light version of the Bobcat voice. But yeah, then when things go completely awry, like you said, this all spirals towards, a big melee where like Morty's like insulting Don Rickles, and he's like, I have all the talent and you're a piece of shit or whatever. And Don eventually hacks his hand off, so Morty is now free, and Morty attacks them and like bites Don Rickles' neck or something. I forget. It's a real comedy of error situation. Eventually Bobcat tries to hit him with a baseball bat and accidentally hits Don Rickles in the head, and I think he might already be dead at that point, but he does slug him in the head with a baseball bat. It definitely polishes him off. And then eventually they're like bouncing around the room in this like melee, and Morty, who's now detached, lands in a old school meat grinder, like crank meat grinder. and you think he's going to get cranked into the meat grinder. This Bobcat starts cranking him. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the best line is Bobcat says, I'm making an asshole casserole, buddy, and you're the main ingredient. And then just in that moment, Morty's like, no, like, he begs for mercy kind of thing, vows that, he can help him. He can help him with his career and blah, blah, blah. And fast forward to they're at the, they're on stage, they're performing, and he's basically doing the same act that Don Rickles was doing. And in that, moment, I think Morty says something. Morty kind of goes off script, and they get into a little bit of a bickering argument, and then the facade comes off, and you see that Morty has like fused to Billy's arm now, Bobcat, and it's revealed to the whole crowd and gasp, and yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. It's a great episode. It has a killer kind of crew behind it. It is directed by Richard Donner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, original Superman movie, the Lethal Weapon films, and
big producer
Scrooged
too, right?
Yeah, big
Scrooge
producer.
is so good, but yeah, he's big,
Yeah.
big, lot of writer producer kind of thing.
Yeah, produced Free Willy 3. So yeah, but he produced the Goonies as well. But yeah, Richard Donner.
Lead with you got to lead with Free Willy 3,
right? But yeah, Richard Donner, huge director, and then it's also written by Frank Darabount.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Shawshank, Green Mile, Walking Dead, Mist. So yeah.
Love a Frank Darabont. Yeah, this is a great one. I mean, this is like one of the ones you think of when you think of Tales from the Crypt. Gross, goofy, silly, oftentimes recognizable faces, kind of out of context. This one is unique in that it has, usually you're not getting Don Rickles and Bobcat Goldthwait, like two very recognizable people, but they work so well together. They're really both bought the hell in. It's really a fun one.
Yeah, definitely. And just, good chemistry. And like you said, they have it happen a couple of times where they do bring in like comedians or at least like kind of known comedic actors, and they play against type, really, to do like that David Paymer that we talked about earlier. I think most of the time you see him in a comedic type role of a schlub.
Sure.
But like they had him play like a real fucking asshole instead.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so just mentioned Superman, which is going to bring me to the next episode I want to talk about. It's from season 4, episode 6. It's called "What's Cookin'," and it stars Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, this is a weird one.
This is a weird one, and I like it a lot, though. Stars Christopher Reeve, but also features Meat Loaf and Judd Nelson.
Yeah. What a cast. What a cast. Unlikely cast.
It also has a small part by Art LaFleur, another character actor with 170 plus credits. You'll recognize him when you see him, but like he was in 1988's The Blob. He was in Cobra. What else was he in? Just tons. He's usually playing like the square jawed asshole because that's his deal. Yeah.
Art LaFleur. Oh yes, of course. I mean, he's on. He was in a TV show I know him from, but I can't think of what it is. He showed up in it seems like fucking everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, it's a character actor you'll just recognize. He was pretty much on everything. Showed up everywhere. Do you need a fucking tough general or a tough cop? He's one of those type of guys.
He also played, here's what I think probably a lot of people, if you're having trouble picturing him, he played Babe Ruth in The Sandlot.
Oh, yes.
Remember when it was, in like the dream sequences and stuff where it's Babe, he's having the dream about, Babe Ruth and the autographed baseball and all that stuff. He plays Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Small but memorable role in a movie we've probably all seen 900 times. But.
Right. So this one is pretty simple. Again, it kind of hits the ground running because we are just introduced to these two characters of Fred and Irma, and they own a diner, and Fred, Christopher Reeve, is trying to sell the idea of an all squid diner in small town America.
This is such a Simpsons bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like just someone like sinking their life savings into a terrible concept for a restaurant. It just strikes me as such a Simpsons bit.
Yeah, and he's trying to sell it to his wife, Irma, that Colonel Sanders, he was thought of as a kook, for trying to do fast food as chicken until it worked for him. And squid, that's going to be the next come up. And it's like, I don't know. No, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, but it's like, isn't it called like the Calamari Cafe or some dumb shit?
Yeah, it's called the Calamari Cafe.
I just watched this one for the first time the other day when I was going through and trying to find ones I like. This is one of the ones I watched. I'll admit I didn't finish it. I got sidetracked and didn't finish it, but I watched like 2/3 of it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they just don't even take much time to introduce him. But in their cafe is Judd Nelson, and he's just like kind of the sweep up guy. And during this argument, he just kind of appears in the argument, and Christopher Reeve dismisses him, and basically he lays it out straight of like, "Oh, you're just a drifter. What do you know?" And he's like, "Well, I know this." He starts selling him on these ideas of like, "Well, there's a lot of things I know, sir, but you shouldn't be rude about it." They are having money troubles, obviously, because nobody wants a squid cafe in small town America. And they get a visit from their landlord, played by Meat Loaf. And these are all puns because it's played by Meat Loaf. His name is Chumley.
Yeah, Mr. Chumley.
Yeah. They get in this argument, and it gets heated. Christopher Reeve accidentally stabs him, and Chumley is like,
the reason he stabs him, he's like, "You're a shitty cook." I think it's like, or something like that. And Christopher Reeve's like, "No, that's a step too far." Stab, stab, stab. I mean, he doesn't do it on purpose, but he does kind of fly into a fit of rage, if I recall. Or
he gets overly pissed. He's like, "You son of a bitch," and tries to chase him out as he's leaving because, Chumley is just like, "Look, I'm going to close up your shop. Like, you can't pay. I'm closing it up." And Fred loses his cool and chases him down with a knife, gives him an accidental little stab, but it leads to them fighting on the street. And, Judd Nelson, being a drifter, is just across the street smoking and drinking with other street people. Like, he has nowhere to go.
Sure. It's after work. What else are you to do?
Yeah. But the next day, Judd Nelson has the answer to all their problems, because he has a brand new steak recipe, and he knows all about barbecue. And, we can all see where this is going, but he is serving Meat Loaf for lunch at the diner, and the town quickly becomes addicted to it. I like when Judd Nelson plays this psychotic drifter so straight.
Yeah.
He is just like, obviously within 22, 23 minutes, you can't fuck around. But like, he just plays it so straight and just immediately takes Fred back to the cooler and shows him that he has Meat Loaf hanging up in the cooler on a meat hook.
Very matter of fact about the whole thing.
Yeah. And it's a great like puppet like that they've built. Like, they've rebuilt, Meat Loaf into a full body puppet with just like huge, hacks of meat taken out of him. It's fucking gross, and it is, disturbing. But yeah, he immediately just puts Fred on the hook of like, "Well, what are you gonna do about it, Fred? You're gonna tell the cops that your wife has been serving this guy that you've been fighting with? I'll just tell them that, and just essentially, Christopher Reeve has to go along with it. He's like, fine. And they just start serving Meat Loaf for, the townsfolk. They get into like, another scrape and scuffle between the three of them. And it's like a little bit of a plot where, Judd is going to frame, both Fred and Irma. Once the meat starts to run out, he just decides he's going to frame them both and then, take whatever he can and probably skip town. Like, he's not going to jail for any of this. and he's going to plan it as a murder-suicide, but they have like a little twist for that. And then there's another little twist at the end involving Art LaFleur as, Phil the cop. And it is just a nice little wonderful like cannibal episode. I like that Christopher Reeve is actually kind of dirty and playing against type. Like,
yeah,
I can't think of another role that's like this for him, because we've talked about him on Village of the Damned, but he's still kind of the straight-laced, up and down, like prim and proper guy. In this episode, he's a little scruffy, like he's kind of dirty, and he gets his hands dirty. He gets into some shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another one. Didn't he do no? Well, that was a remake. I was going to say, didn't he do that like shitty remake of Rear Window, like after he was already in a wheelchair?
He did do that.
Yeah. But otherwise, no, he's typically plays the all American heart of gold protagonist.
Yeah. So this is just kind of a neat role to see him as like a shitbird, and like, because he does really get into the whole like, oh, we're a steakhouse now type deal. And and him and his wife work together to actually overthrow Gaston, the drifter played by Judd Nelson. So
sure.
Yeah, it's fun. It's weird, but yeah, it's enjoyable. I like it.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't watch it till the very end, but I was excited. Anytime Meat Loaf comes on screen, I'm excited, and he's really just leaning into it, like, you fucking pray. Like, he's just being a giant asshole, and really making you want something bad to happen to him, which is again a hallmark of Tales from the Crypt. I feel like Tales from Crypt and obviously the subject matter that has inspired it. It's a lot of people getting their comeuppance,
Right.
Either for bad treatment, treating people badly, or because of succumbing to their vices. That also is a big theme with these stories. But yeah, it's a good one. It's a strong one.
Yeah.
I have a couple more that I want to talk about, just real high level. I'll kind of mention that I like a lot. One I was going to talk about, it's less anyway, it's got a few really effective scenes, but primarily the reason I really like it is the setting, which is a carnival, carnival / circus, which, I'm a sucker for anything that happens at a carnival or a circus. But this one is, let me get is season 1, episode 3. So right after the Christmas one. This one's called Dig That Cat ... He's Real Gone. That's a tough title. But it basically is about this I'll try to summarize it really quickly. A crazy doctor who decides that he can extract some gland from cats and put the 9 lives of a cat into a person. And 9 lives are a real thing, and it all has to do with his glands. And he puts it in the kind of back of the neck of what's his name? Joe Pantoliano, who, I think most people would know from a lot of things. He was in
The Matrix,
Memento. He was in The Matrix, The Fugitive. He's a great character actor. And now all of a sudden he's got 9 lives. Just to summarize it, this is the goofy thing about it is this genius doctor who's made this wild discovery. The first thing he thinks to do when he's got a guy now that's like kind of in his debt that can die and literally die and come back to life multiple times. First thing is let's run away, join the circus. Let's turn this into an act. Everyone's going to see it.
Yep.
That's such like a turn of the century approach to having like a modern medical marvel on your hands. But that's what they go and do. He ends up kind of double crossing the doctor, killing him. He gets killed multiple times. He keeps coming back. He gets his comeuppance because he's getting greedier and greedier and greedier. And then I will, again, fast forward a minute if you don't want this one to be spoiled. But the best scene is the end. And it's because he's doing this one last big score where he's going to have this crazy big act where everyone's going to come and see it. And he's going to get buried underground. And then he's going to, suffocate and die underground. But then they're going to be able to bring him back to life. But then as he's like telling this whole story and he thinks he's got everything figured out and he's tricked everyone, he realizes that like the cat already had one life gone when he took over the lives. So he realizes that he actually has one less life than he thinks he has. And he's been buried alive and he's going to die for real this time. And he's screaming underground and, a cat comes and like lays on his grave and, the people who just buried him just hear like kind of muffled noises. So yeah, anything with someone getting buried alive is usually pretty effective to me. It sounds genuinely unpleasant. I wanted to mention real briefly, I guess, just because it's got some not particularly good, but I guess memorable practical effects. It's called Werewolf Concerto. This one is season 4, episode 13. And it's a little bit of like a chamber piece, I guess, but it's got, oh gosh, what's his name? He was freaking 007. Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton's in it. Dennis Farina is in it. Great cast. Ultimately, Reginald Vell Johnson's in it very briefly. But long story short, we got a dang old werewolf, and then there's a little bit of a twist at the end where we learn that the werewolf is not what we're supposed to be scared of. But the werewolf prosthetics and makeup has like a weird like Fabio-esque kind of look to it. It's strange decisions were made. And then I'll say the last one that I want to call out, which is very different than the ones I've talked about so far, stars the late great Katherine O'Hara. It's called Let the Punishment Fit the Crime, and she is the best. She's so good in this. She steals the show, obviously. She is the show. But the interesting thing about it is it feels very dreamlike. And if you've ever had that, that dream where you're just caught in all this like bureaucracy and red tape and you're in jail or you're in whatever, like I feel like everyone's had this like stress dream where you're just like caught in a web of bureaucracy and rules and misunderstandings or whatever. And that's kind of what this one's like. She's like a kind of a crooked lawyer who gets pulled over in this small town, this, country ass little small jurisdiction. And she gets a shitty public defender, and they're gonna all the penalties for these minor crimes are super harsh, but she is trying to get out of it because she's a lawyer, but then she keeps getting embroiled deeper and deeper into it, and then things start to get a little bit almost Alice in Wonderland-y later on, where she just kind of things start to get more and more surreal.
Yeah, it's a more dreamlike version of Nothing But Trouble, is what what it turns into. Like, it doesn't go quite as extreme, but like there are some dreamy moments of like her imagining zombies of like people she's failed because of her like lawyer griftery ways. Her public defender also is played by Peter McNichol, who is fucking amazing.
Like he's amazing in a lot of stuff. He's pretty good in this episode, but he is awesome at the end of it, because I don't know, the twist, the spoiler twist to this is Peter McNichol is the public defender, and he's negotiated his freedom because a public defender has a sentence apparently in this town, in this through the looking glass world, and he's traded places with her, and she takes his place and he gets to die, and his joy at being strapped into the electric chair and then the way he dies is so fucking great.
Well, and it's also like it's heavily suggested that that's like they're in some supernatural environment too. You know, where it's almost like you're the public defender in purgatory or something like that.
Yeah.
It's very strange, but yeah, Katherine O'Hara is great, but yes, Peter McNichol, which I think most folks would know him from Ghostbusters 2. Why can't I remember the name of the character that he plays? Oh my god, he's been in 10 he's been in 10 million things, but that's what most people would know him from.
Every now and then I'll just find like his clips from Veep, because his character on Veep is such a fucking psychopath. It makes me laugh so hard.
I've only seen a few episodes of that. That's one that's been on my list for a while.
Yeah. He's amazing. I think he only shows up in like later seasons, but he's like essentially this like rich uncle who like goes around picking who serves in Congress in like New England is essentially his role. Like he's a kingmaker that way.
I see.
And he has a real shitbag like nephew, and just the way he talks to his nephew is like absolutely fucking insane. Like just referring to him as like the lowest form of jizz that has ever breathed a breath. It is like that type of shit. So yeah, go watch clips of that on YouTube.
He is also one of his most memorable roles for me as like a kid who grew up in the in the 90s is in Addams Family Value as one half of the Grangers. Gary Granger and Becky Martin Granger, the couple that runs the camp where Wednesday has to go to, and she has the little like war with the other little preppy kids, and the very memorable scene where she like it's the pilgrims and the Native Americans and all that, but the two like annoyingly peppy, very weird cornball couple that runs the camp. He is one half of that, alongside Christine Baranski, who's also phenomenal comic actor. He steals he and Katherine O'Hara is bounce off each other really, really well in this. But that's it. Those are the other three that I wanted to mention that are some of my faves.
Yeah, I have one I wanted to mention, but I haven't seen it. So I can't attest to the quality, but I assume it's good. It is season 5, episode 5. It's called People Who Live in Brass Hearses, and it stars Bill Paxton and Brad Dourif.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, how have I not seen this one?
Yeah, like it's one I haven't seen. I assume it's good, but I can't talk about it because I haven't seen it. But I will shortly.
Yeah, I got to check this one out too. Weird though, because I was looking at, I was trying to go through some of the ones that, I had a handful in mind that I knew and remembered and went through and rewatched, but then I was like scanning for other ones that like people who knew the series better would say like, hey, you really need to check this one out because it's definitely worth watching and blah, blah, blah. And that one did not come up, at least in what I, my initial search, but boy, it's a heck of a cast. Yeah. It's got Bill Paxton, Brad Dourif. It's got Michael Lerner, who's another fantastic character actor. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I have to check that one out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
just one I hadn't seen, so I couldn't speak to it. But it just like there's a couple episodes in there that I obviously haven't seen. Like I've seen the John Stamos episode. I don't care for it. There's another episode that I couldn't remember and I hadn't seen it in a long time, but it's about a guy who gets a tattoo on his chest, and I believe the ending is he cuts it off himself. But I just haven't rewatched that one to speak on it. So, but yeah, there's
which one's
a lot
this one?
of
Season 5, Episode 5. You said?
Yeah, Season 5, Episode 5 is the one with Bill Paxton and Brad Dourif in it.
Yeah, yeah. It's got pretty good reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
I wonder why that one didn't come up, didn't surface.
I don't know, but yeah, I think I think I'll finally sit down and just watch the entire series, because like there's so many great like cameos and bit parts. Like there's a bunch of episodes we hadn't talked about, but like Brad Pitt, Joe Pesci, Steve Buscemi, they all show up in the series at some point.
Yeah, everyone's been in it. And it, like I said, it ran for what did I say? 6 seasons, something like that. So, plenty of content, 7 seasons. So giving an excuse to hold on to that Shudder subscription. That's part of the reason that I did drop my Shudder subscription and then recently got it back because the Joe Bob Briggs summer special's coming up, so I'm gonna watch that. I'm a sucker. I gave up on it for a few months and then promptly reinitiated my subscription. All right. That was some of our favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Don't forget, join us next week. We're going to have our kicking off our July Showdown, where we talk about some childhood trauma films of ours individually. We're going to have our old pal Halloween on. He's going to talk about Child's Play 2. Steve's going to talk about Sergeant Kabuki Man. And I'm going to talk about Secrets in the Attic, aka the Dollhouse Murders. So, and right around the corner will be another punishment episode. So if you got any I got a list. I think we all got lists. But if you got any real dog shit punishment movies you think I should add to that list, send it over to us. Slide in the old DMs. We always appreciate that. And if I didn't mention, which I haven't mentioned in a while, if you don't go on the social medias because it's a disgusting hellscape, you can always shoot us an old-fashioned email. It's at HalloweenIsForeverPod@gmail.com. All right. Anything else, Steve, before we wrap up this here minisode?
I just wanted to mention that I hate AI. AI has fucked me over. Last week we were talking about The Devil's Reign, and I had made mention about how I thought that the director of that film was trying to ape another director, and confidently in my brain I said John Huston, which was incorrect. Yeah. I was thinking of a different director. But I couldn't remember the name of that director. And then when I asked AI on Google, I didn't ask AI, but just AI just responded. Google lied to me and told me it was John Huston by taking the profile of John Ford and just attaching John Huston's name to it.
It is insane how frequently just Google searches are just incorrect now because of AI. Like they made it worse. Googling something is now completely unreliable. I can't tell you the amount of times it's come up, like just in a conversation with somebody, and then they, this, and I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think that's true. Yeah, look, I just Googled it, and I'm like, that's wrong. I mean, what you're looking at on Google AI is just wrong. Go to, a reliable website, and then, it's just. Yeah, so they're gonna get fucking sued at some point, I'm sure.
I think they already have. They already have been, and they fought it in court. That set a precedent of, because somebody appeared in a search, and the search said that they were like a sex offender or a pedophile or something, And so
Yeah.
they sued for that, obviously. That's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
And they went to court over it, and they were like, well, they were misusing the search function, and we couldn't get it to reproduce that. So, and it's like, well, that's because your fucking fucked up machine is just broken. It just says whatever it wants. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's terrible. And in the end, in my search, it didn't help me remember the name John Ford. I had to use 3 fucking degrees of like super brain to remember that David Lynch played John Ford in the Steven Spielberg movie about his life. And so I had to go look up, I had to IMDb that movie to find who was David Lynch playing for it to tell me it was John Ford, not fuck ass Google AI.
The internet's broke. You ruined it. You ruined the internet. Thanks a lot, AI, you piece of shit. All right. Well, join us next week for more old men yelling at clouds. In the meantime, fuck you and fuck AI. And for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm John Ford.
You're not. All right, bye.
Bye.